Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Chris Jackson. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions here at MSU Law. Today, we're going to hear some insights from current law students here at MSU Law. There will be a recording of this, so you will be able to view it on our website here in the upcoming week. So with that, I'm going to introduce today's panelists. So today we have Martin Childs, who's a 3L here at MSU Law. He went to undergrad at Florida A&M. We have Emily DeReamer, who is a 2L. She went to undergrad at Oregon State. And we have Narissa Bandali, who is a 3L, who is from Canada and went to the University of Alberta. So she'll be able to provide a unique perspective as well. So with that, I'm just going to hand it off for them to each talk briefly about themselves before we get into some of the insights we're going to provide today. So with that, Martin.
Hi, everyone. As was said, I'm Martin. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. While at Florida A&M, I studied business administration. And afterwards, I moved to New York for 2 years and worked for JP Morgan as an analyst. And then I came here to Michigan State to study law. My focus primarily is business law. So I actually have a job after this school year to work for a law firm in their corporations practice. And I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Emily DeReamer. As Chris said, I'm a second-year student. I'm from Oregon, so I moved all the way across the country, which is a huge step for me, but I love it here. Yes, because I went to Oregon State University and I studied sociology and criminal justice. Took a few months off and then moved out here for law school, and I'm primarily looking into criminal defense.
I'm Narissa. I am from Canada, from Edmonton, Alberta. I was an English major and a Spanish minor, and I came straight from undergrad to law school.
Great. Thanks, everyone. I'll also point out as part of this, at the end, you're actually going to get a chance to ask some questions as well. So definitely start thinking of some questions you might want to ask our panelists or myself as part of that. First off, we're going to talk about some insights on tips for applying to law school. So I listed a couple questions that I'm going to ask for our panelists to answer, and then they're going to be able to add any additional components they'd like at the end. So panelists, what do you think was the hardest part about applying to law school?
For me, I think the hardest part was getting letters of recommendation. So because I graduated and worked for 2 years, I wasn't in the city where I went to law or where I went to undergrad. And it was hard to try to contact the professors that I had to get those letters of recommendation. And even when I was able to get in contact with them, I was a little bit afraid that they wouldn't remember who I was. So that was probably the hardest thing, was getting those letters of recommendation.
Yeah, that was pretty difficult. I'd also say the personal statements, because I applied to 5 or 6 law schools, and you always want to make sure that when you're writing a personal statement, it's specific to the school, because every school offers different sort of opportunities and programs and will draw you to them for different reasons, and you want to make sure that you tell the school why you're actually interested in them. But then writing 5 or 6 all around the same time while still being in school, it was a lot. So that was probably the hardest part for me.
Yeah, for me, it was definitely the organization of everything, because you're applying to multiple law schools at one time, and they all have different dates to submit your application. So to keep everything organized was probably the most difficult part for the application process.
Great. Yeah, I mean, I definitely, just to add some to it, I think every situation is going to be different, and I think these all highlight different situations, especially for those that are on listening in right now that are like Martin, who went into the workforce for a little while and came back. That can definitely, cause some issues. So that's something to think about. The further out you get, the harder it will be to find faculty who will write letters for you. And so it reaches a point where you may want to consider 1 or 2, if necessary, from individuals who may have been over your supervisor or manager, things like that, in a position. But the preference, typically, if you're closer to undergrad or coming straight out of undergrad, is always going to be from faculty members. So that's something to think about. And then other points with the personal statements definitely are always something to consider. Some people don't like to write different ones for each one. I always recommend trying to personalize it when possible. But if you do decide to use the same letter for multiple schools, always make sure you don't have the wrong school name in there, because unfortunately that does happen. So that's something to look out for. Copy and paste isn't always your friend. So with that, how did you all effectively study for the LSAT? I get asked this a lot on the road, so I figured I'd ask.
For me, I would say take the time that you need to study. I know it's really easy to want to just take the next LSAT so you can get your score and get your applications in, but that doesn't work for everybody. So I would say take the time you need to study. If you have to get a tour or follow a program, then do that, because getting the score you want on the LSAT is the first step to the best application for law school.
Yeah, I agree. I also took the LSAT twice. So I took the first one, I took the June one, and then also the October, September one. And it was definitely easier for the June one because I had the summer to study, whereas in September, October, I was like in my last year and trying to get all of my accredited and stuff like that. I also used, I didn't use a course, but I did use sort of the commercial books, practice exams and things like that. I found that some people just took practice exams over and over and over again, and that was enough for them. But for me, I had to figure out what the strategy was for each question, and that's why those books really helped me.
Yeah, I would say for me, kind of like what was already stated, just make sure that you have enough time to study for it. I took it twice as well, and the first time I took it, I studied maybe a few weeks, and I bombed it. But then the second time, I started studying 2 months before the exam, and I did a lot better on the LSAT. So make sure that you take the time, and you don't have to, study 10 hours a day. If you study just a few hours every other day or so, and then, start as you get closer to the exam, start wrapping it up a little bit, you should be fine.
Yeah, and one other thing I'll add, and unfortunately our panelists didn't get to take advantage of it, is, well, there's two I'll add. Definitely as a starting point, Khan Academy is working with the Law School Admissions Council now to provide a free study course. I'm getting looks like, wow, why didn't we have that? I wish I would have had it too. So that's always a good starting point, because it does have a customizable diagnostic test that'll walk you through it and then figure out what's the best choice for you. The second is most of us, when we took the LSAT, actually all of us, they only offered it 4 times a year, and now they're going to be, they offered it 6 this year, and they're supposed to be increasing that even more next year. So that makes it a little bit more accessible, and hopefully you can fit it better into your schedule. But I think all of us here in the room definitely wish we would have had those opportunities, so take advantage of them as you can. So with that, we'll go into the next question. This is kind of a broad-based one when it comes to applying to law schools, but what did you look for in choosing a law school to apply to?
This is such a broad question because there's so many different things you have to consider when looking at a law school. Like, so for me, geography was one, whether I wanted to stay at home or stay in Canada or kind of move away, which obviously I did. But other things, when I was trying to narrow down the list, was like, if you know what type of law you want to go into, that's great, and you can start making your decisions based on that. So I came to MSU because of the IP program, the intellectual property program. That's sort of my focus here. And so I basically applied to schools that had that. The other thing is I applied to schools that had a dual JD program. So MSU offers a dual JD between Michigan State and the University of Ottawa, where you do 2 years and 2 years, and you get JDs from both countries. There's a few schools that offer that, so I applied to those because I wasn't sure what country I wanted to practice in at the time. I think when you're looking for law schools, you should always look for opportunities that they offer that you would want to take advantage of, because across the country, everybody basically gets the same education. So it's part of the reason to pick a specific law school is what else they can give you other than just a contract class, a common law class, a civil procedure class. And then, of course, there's always like the budget reasons. So a school that gives you a scholarship is always a great school to look at, like Michigan State.
Well, for me, geography was the last thing on my list. I didn't care where I was going in the country. I looked for schools that fit my GPA, my LSAT score, and what I wanted to do. And once I narrowed it down to those schools, I was able to visit my top few schools and check out the environment, because feeling comfortable and feeling happy in law school was something that was really important to me. I wanted to feel like I could trust my peers and go to my professors for help whenever I needed it, no matter if I felt like it was sort of a dumb question or a really complicated question. I always wanted to be made, I always wanted to feel like what I was saying mattered, and that's what I found at MSU, and that's why ultimately I chose it over my other law schools.
Yeah, for me, it was kind of a little bit of everything. So geography was a little bit important. I'm from the Midwest, so I kind of wanted to move back here. Money was also a big thing, so I didn't want to overpay for law school and then, graduate and have all these loans. So one thing that I looked for when applying were schools that had application fee waivers, and MSU did have that. So that was one thing where MSU looked great for me. And then lastly, I wanted to pick a school that had some name recognition, and you can go anywhere in this country, pretty much anywhere in the world, and everyone knows that, knows of MSU because we're a Big Ten school. So I wanted somewhere where, I can graduate and this degree would carry weight.
Great. Well, thank you all for those insights. Did you have any other tips or recommendations for students as they begin the law school application process, whether they're juniors or seniors, even sophomores or freshmen?
Proofread. Please proofread your application.
Yeah, that and be open-minded to different schools. I know some may not fall exactly where you want, but sometimes when you visit, it seems to be the place you want to be. So be open-minded and visit the schools that are your top schools, because being there is the best way to decide if that's where you want to be for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
And have as many people as you can read your personal statement. You'll be surprised, little tips that you'll get from individuals who, can help out.
And reach out to the school that you're very interested in, because they'll likely put you in contact with students who go there. And kind of inherent in this webinar is that there's no better advice than a current student.
Yeah, I could be replaced right now. Great. So I think with that, we'll go ahead and move on to the next slide that we have. So kind of shifting gears, and this we kind of started talking about on the last one, was really finding the right fit for you for law school. I know I myself, I applied to, I think, probably 8, 10 law schools when I was applying. Others on our panel will probably say the same thing, that they applied to quite a few. So there comes a point where you got to decide where you're going to go. So that's kind of what I wanted to touch base on here. So I know we talked a little bit about money, about geography, programs, but what factors did you feel were most important for picking a law school to actually go to, not just apply to?
Yeah, this is so important, I think. When I was applying, I heard a ton of horror stories about how competitive law school is, and people ripping notes out of books and whatever. That's not an environment that I wanted to be in, or that I thrive in, and I think most people would feel the same. So when I was visiting law schools, I specifically tried to, get this feeling and ask people about it. And when I got to MSU, it was very clear that the faculty and the staff and the students that were there were all kind of on the same team. And for me, that was really important, because I don't want to come to law school to make enemies, right? I want to make friends. Martin and I have been together since our first year. We sat together in 4 classes, and we're buds now. And that kind of environment when you're in a high stress situation is really important.
Yeah, I would agree. Like I said earlier, environment was probably the biggest thing that I focused on in a factor for law school, because I wanted to feel comfortable where I was. So environment, the way professors treat you, the way students treat you, is something that I find is the biggest factor.
Yeah, one thing that was big for me also was just the ability to network. So as an attorney, your ability to get a job and to get clients all stems off of how wide your network is. And here at MSU, you not only have the MSU Law students, you have MSU Law alumni, you have the MSU, the greater undergrad community, and then you have a top 20 business school that's literally right across the street from you. So for me, that was a huge boost in terms of deciding what school to choose.
Great. What all do you wish you would have known about when trying to figure out law school and finding the right pick or fit?
I wish even though people said law school was hard, I wish I would have realized just how much time it takes. The one thing I noticed was I talked to my parents every single day on the phone when I was in college, and now I find myself 3, 4, 5 days, and my dad's calling you haven't talked to me in a week, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't even realize a week's gone by. Things have been so busy and so insane. So just realizing that it really does take up a lot of your time is something that you just got to get your mind around now. No matter what you do, it will take up a lot of your time. But if you want to be a lawyer, then it's really very important.
Yeah, and you have to in the same, or I guess on the flip side, make time for things, actively make time for things that you want to make time for. If you're a comics fan and the new Avengers movie's coming out, you got to get your reading done so you can line up for the new Avengers film or whatever, right? Also, just a specific Canadian/international perspective, is there's visa things that I did not know about, like when your visa expires, for example, right after you leave MSU. So if you're thinking of a dual program, and you leave MSU after 2 years, then while you're at the second program, then your visas come back, usually expires at that time. And that's one thing I wish I had known before. I want to change my decision, but I wish I had known.
Yeah, I wish I would have known how hard it was going to be. So, I mean, when you think about it, high school, it's easy. Undergrad, fairly easy. But then you get to law school and you think, you know, you have just the smartest students in every single college attending your law school. So, you know, it's definitely doable. It's tough, it's challenging, but that's the fun of law school.
And it's not always that the material is hard, it's that the amount of material there is what makes it difficult. You probably still understand everything if you don't have time to read it.
Yeah, but there are tons of resources, especially here at MSU. You know, we have a great academic support group that helps out with, you know, if you're having any troubles with your studies. And then, as Marissa said, you become friends with your classmates, and you know, you have your study groups, and they're always helpful as well.
And I will say that does continue on even after graduating. I still talk to my classmates all the time. I have some I talk to daily. So you really do build lifelong friendships during law school. And I always tell students when we're doing recruitment travelers, they're just visiting campus, that it is 3 years of your life, and it's 3 of the craziest, busiest, but also 3 of the funnest days, or not days, years of your life. Some days are harder than others, though. And so last question I have to pose to all of our panelists is, what do you think students should pay attention to most when finding the right fit?
I would recommend actually visiting and paying attention to how you feel in the environment and then in the area. I remember when I visited MSU for Admitted Candidates Day, it was like right after MSU lost in March Madness or whatever, and it was just silent all around the town. That was, I found, really interesting. But when you get into the law school, like, it's completely different. Everybody was so nice and so great, and that was actually a really big factor. I think I submitted my seat deposit that night because I was just so excited about MSU.
Yeah, I will second that. I actually did an admitted student stay here as well, and you know, getting a chance to meet the students, sit in on my class and meet professors, you know, have lunch and dinner with them. I just thought that it was a great vibe, and I clicked with a lot of the students here. So definitely get a chance to, if you have that opportunity, to go and visit the school and tour the school, see how you fit in with the community there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be a broken record, but I completely agree. I think how you feel as well as just how you see the way faculty and students treat you. When I came for my visit day, it was a full weekend. And when I walked in for dinner on that first night, the old dean of admissions was all, "Oh, Emily, I've been waiting to meet you. I'm so excited. Like, you're from Oregon. You went to Oregon State." And he might have had my name on a list or whatnot, but the fact that he knew who I was and knew where I was from made me feel really wanted at MSU. And to feel like that, and then to feel really comfortable in the environment, it definitely was the right fit for me.
Yeah, and that's so true. Even after that, like, you walk around the school and all of the, like, admission staff, the career staff, if they've met you once, they're gonna remember your name and they see you in the hallway. "Oh, hey, Narissa, how's it going? Did you figure out that one thing?" "No, I didn't, but I'm still on it, thanks." Like, they're so great here. And I think if you can find a school that makes you feel like you belong there, because you're gonna be here all the time for the next 3 years, and you want to be able to rely on people and to, you know, ask somebody in the library to watch your stuff while you go get chips and feel like they're actually going to do it. Yeah.
Definitely. Great. So we're going to switch to the last topic that we put together, and that's broadly experience here at MSU Law. And we've heard about it. We've heard about admitted student days, which I highly recommend. That was also the first time I ever came to the state of Michigan to visit the campus. So I definitely agree with those. But I figured some insights that you could hear about here at the law school. So what's been everybody's favorite experience here at MSU Law? I know it's kind of really open-ended, but.
For me, I was studying abroad this summer. So I guess it wasn't technically in the law school, but it was with one of my first year law professors and about 20 other MSU Law students. So we got to go to Poland and we got to study the rule of law, comparative law, alternative dispute resolution. And on top of that, got to travel throughout Poland and see a lot of Eastern Europe. So being able to study abroad and get school credits overall was the best experience.
Yeah, I did Croatia study abroad in my 1L year, 1L summer, and that was really great. We studied international intellectual property and just regular intellectual property law, and that was amazing. Also, we have a musical group here now, which I started, and that's been really, really great because it just gave us an opportunity to kind of blow off steam, and I love performing, so there you go.
Yeah, I think I did not have the opportunity to study abroad. However, one of my favorite experiences was going to New York and competing in a moot court competition. And I did that with one of my good friends here, and we've had the same classes, like Narissa, since my first year at law school. And that was just a great time. We spent 5 days in New York, and missing class, to spend in New York, that's not a bad trade-off. So.
Great. And I guess that kind of ties into the next question of what opportunities have you had here at MSU Law that you may not have had at other schools?
Being able to be a part of certain organizations, I think, are great. Personally, I am the secretary of Criminal Defense Association, and I'm not sure exactly if other law schools have that type of organization. But one of the 3Ls started it at the end of my 1L year, and then a few of us were able to take it over and change it. So being able to just evolve an organization that hasn't previously been on MSU's campus, I thought was a great opportunity that I've had here.
Yeah, especially because you get all of the support from the staff and from our Office of Student Engagement that you need to start. Whatever you feel like you want to start, you can start it. And that's really great. Also, yeah, the study abroad is really important. We actually have 3 study abroads. And not a lot of law schools offer that kind of opportunity, especially with the people that you get to meet on study abroad, other professors and other professionals who come to teach. Really great.
Yeah, I think another opportunity is just the relationships we build with our professors. So one thing we like to say here is that all of our professors have an open door policy where you don't have to stop in in their office hours. If their office is open or if they're in their office, you can just walk right in. And I, have friends at other schools where they don't have that experience. And not only can you, go and talk to them, but you really do develop, a friendship and, develop strong relationships with them where they'll email you scholarship opportunities, job opportunities. They'll put you in contact with their colleagues who may have these types of opportunities as well. So I feel like these will be long-lasting, relationships that will carry throughout our career.
Yeah, and one more thing, I'm not sure if any of you guys are on TPI, but so nobody here is in the Trial Practice Institute, but something that MSU offers that is really unique is the TPI program, the Trial Practice Institute. So if you're interested in litigation, it's something that you can apply to at the end of your first year. And you learn everything from pretrial motions to theatrical skills in litigation and everything that involves litigation. So I think that's something that is really useful here at MSU.
Yeah, very specific to MSU.
Yeah, very specific.
Yeah, and the TPI program, definitely check it out. We have more information on our website, but it's one of our most sought after programs. So I definitely think it's a great thing to look at, and it, again, is very unique to being here at MSU.
Not just that, but also all of our clinics. We have really, really great clinics this year. We just started the IT Entrepreneurial Clinic, which has been a really great experience for me. And you just get so much real world sort of experience doing things like that. And a lot of law schools have clinics, and I guess this is jumping back to a previous slide, but when you're looking at law schools, look for ones that you would think you would want to do, because that's such a great way to get experience.
Yeah, and we have 9 clinics here at the law school now with the IP one. So a variety of things, whether it's immigration law, family law, kind of the more standardized ones, tax, those type of things, or you can do, First Amendment, IP, animal rights, so variety, just to name a few of them. Not that I don't want to mention them all, but so definitely check those out because those are also on our website. And that also kind of leads into the next aspect, which is some of the other things here on campus. And so I figured I'd ask the panelists, how have you been able to utilize some of the various support services we've had, like career services, academic success program, variety of other things that we have here on campus, graduate international programs, etc. So I didn't know if you wanted to share any experiences.
Well, for me, career services has been great, setting up interviews, being in the middle of my 2L year. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do this summer and what kind of job I'm going to have in my 3L year and after graduation. So career services sets up interviews. They've gone over my resume. So that's been really helpful. And then in my 1L year academic success program, I swear it saved my life. Writing was never a strong suit that I had. And so working on my writing in law school was something that I had to focus on really strongly. So after my first semester, I took the academic success program and was able to practice my writing in forms of property, and property ended up being my best grade out of my entire first year. So the academic success program, I can say, single-handedly helped me improve my writing.
Yeah, and the great thing about the programs is that they're definitely willing to come to you. Like the career services and the academic service program will have different workshops at lunchtime with food, which is very important. And they will just tell you things, show you things. If there's a job fair coming up, probably career services knows about it and can get you registered really easily and will take the fee for you, which is really, really great because there's like 5 or 6 different job fairs that happen even in one semester. And if they think that you could benefit, then they're willing to help so much.
Yeah, and one thing that's really great about our career services department is that we have advisors that have specialized in various careers. So we have an advisor that specializes in judicial clerkship, advisors that specialize in public interest law, some that might specialize in law firms. And if you know what you're interested in, what type of law you want to practice, they can really help cater and craft your resume and your cover letters to those types of jobs. And then also, like Emily stated, the academic success program was really helpful for me. My 1L year, they held a few workshops on how to write your outlines for exams, study tips for exams, how to write an exam essay, which is a lot different than you might be used to writing for your undergrad essays or for your personal statement that you have to write for your application. So I think that our career services program and academic success program has been very helpful.
Yeah, and our Office of Student Engagement has been really great. They're sort of a catch-all kind of office, and I'm just in there all constantly like, how do I do this? Can you help me with this? And they're like, sure. And if they can't help you, then they'll send you somewhere else. So, for example, in my 1L summer, I took classes at a different university because I was in DC, and I thought, why not just do class all the time? And they were really helpful, like getting my credits transferred and things like that too. And they were on the phone with people all the time for me. So that was really, really great.
Yeah, and as an alum, I definitely I love to vouch for career services and the other programs we have here. Coming out of law school, that's how I got my first job, was through the career services. And I know our panel, whether they have or they've had classmates that have, they definitely have seen that too. So it's really a great resource. ASP and other things on campus too are always there to support you, doing various events and things like that, and engaging the alumni. So it gives you a great chance to meet alumni and build your network through those different programs as well. Yeah, so thanks for all that feedback. So the last question I have here is there anything, other things you'd like to share about your experience here at MSU? Student orgs, you name it, please feel free to share it.
I love it here. I really don't know how else to put it. I was pretty nervous, like I said earlier, moving all the way across the country to not only a place I've never really been, but to not have a single person here that I knew. So to find the opportunities that I found here in terms of organizations and friends and faculty and, even a job in the admissions office as a student are things that I just wouldn't trade, and I'm really glad I have the opportunity here to do them.
Yeah. I agree. Like, what else can you say? But I love it here. I love the people that I've met, that I've made friends with. There's this karaoke place on Grand River that I love called Crunchies, and it's fun to go there with friends. And law school can be really, really hard, and I think that it's definitely balanced out by the fact that there's such great people here and such great fun things to do with them. Coming from Canada, like, college football is not a thing. College sports, like, we have them, but it's not at all what it is here. So coming here and experiencing that, I actually just went to my first football game for me has been convincing family members to come visit me in a city that they've never heard of.
Yeah, I love it as well. I participate in a lot of organizations, and that, for me, that's just been the best way of getting out and meeting people. So yeah, you'll find all types of people, all types of friends. It's a great school.
Yeah, and it's like a 3L to meet other 2Ls and 1Ls coming in. That's just been so great because, you know, just to be able to meet people, new people every year, and to help them, you know, put together their schedules and things like that, or offer the insights of like, oh, don't take that class before you take this class or whatever. That makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember as a 1L, I would ask 2 and 3Ls, do you have an outline for this class? And now, you know, I have 1Ls and 2Ls asking me for those outlines.
Also,
Like,
really cool though.
yeah.
I am learning for outlines all the time. So an outline is basically when you're studying for an exam, because in classes, normally what it'll be is your exam will be 90% of your grade. So you spend hopefully lots of time working on an outline of the class that you can study from and refer to before the exam. So it's always great to get another person's outline just to compare your own with, because they've already taken the class and they can offer you insights on the exam. So yeah, Martin just emailed me one a couple days ago.
Anything else you want to add before we go to the next slide?
Great question.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so now the fun part. So we're gonna go ahead and open it up to Q&A. It looks like we've gotten one so far. So if you do have questions, the little toolbar here in Zoom meetings will allow you to go ahead and click on it, and you can send your questions over, and we'll go ahead and get those answered. So this one's kind of already been answered, but we'll go ahead and see if there's anything else to add. Why did you choose Michigan State?
Like I said earlier, it was really the environment. Michigan State was actually my second choice law school until I came to visit. I was really set on going to my other school, and I came here just to make it clear I wanted to go to the other place. And as soon as I was here, I was like, joke's on me, I'm moving to Michigan. Yeah, called my mom crying. She's like, why are you crying? I was like, well, I'm moving across the country. And so it was just, you know, it's something about being here and being able to feel what it's like to be here is the reason I chose it. It's hard to explain. I wish I could explain it a little bit better, but overall it's the people and the feeling you get when you're here.
Yeah, that was definitely a big factor in me choosing, but also I actually came for the dual JD program and then decided to stay after my 2L year, because I wanted to be on law review and I wanted to do moot court and all of these things. And then all of the programs too, all of the clinics, the personal clinic, the IP clinic that we decided to do here, and things like that, those opportunities were really important for me if I was going to move to a different country. Like I wanted to feel like I got value out of my education, and I definitely feel that with all the opportunities that MSU has offered to me.
Yeah, I was choosing between Michigan State and another law school, and I came to the admitted student day, and I just felt kind of like what Emily said earlier. I felt wanted. So I had the same experience where admissions people, they knew my name. Whenever I would call to ask a question, they would always answer, and then, you know, answer it right away. I would call the other school, get the voicemail. You know, I didn't feel wanted, and I felt wanted here. So.
Yeah, and I was the same way. You know, visiting campus, it's the culture. You just kind of immediately feel how welcoming it is and how much there is to do, and I would say empowering, for lack of a better term. That really is for students. And so that was really, you know, what drew me to come to MSU, and enough that I came back after, you know, practicing at my firm, coming back and now working at the law school. It's definitely great to be back in that environment and be part of it.
There's that story of like, in your first year, in your first class, you'll sit down with the rest of your classmates, and the professor will say, look to your left, look to your right, this is your competition for the next 3 years and the rest of your life. But at MSU, definitely look to your left, look to your right, these are your colleagues, treat them well.
Definitely. And I love seeing my colleagues like chirp each other on Facebook or Twitter when they have cases against each other. It's so funny. Or you see them be like, hey, it was nice to see you in court today. You know, because even when you're on opposite sides, you're still part of a community as colleagues. And so that's a great part of it too. How does I guess we kind of talked about this, but how does the culture fit of MSU in general complement MSU Law?
MSU Law really focuses on teamwork and collaboration. And it's easy to want to work with other people or to study with other people because everybody here just ended up being so nice. So I think the culture is definitely a really positive one. There's an inherent competition in being in law school, but nobody's sabotaging each other or anything like that. In fact, it's like you celebrate each other's accomplishments every day, and I think that's really great.
Yeah, the best example I can give of that is whenever I have to miss class because I'm sick or I have a moot court competition. I have friends that will text me during right after class and say, hey, you weren't in class, what's going on? And then they'll send me the notes for the day. And at other law schools, you might not get that because of the competition that they have at the law school, but here you don't have that.
Or at other law schools, you might get edited notes.
Yeah, where they might try to sabotage you and give you, the wrong rules or the wrong notes, and then you don't know until you get your grades back.
Yeah, I would agree with both of them. It's a positive culture and an environment that I think is really great for people to want to be in, and it's uplifting. And you really will find people that want to help you here more than they would ever want to sabotage you.
Yeah. If I have to take notes because I know somebody's going to miss class, I definitely pay more attention in class.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, oh wow, I really got to get it together. I don't want to give them bad notes.
Exactly.
I'll give myself bad notes, but not you guys.
Pretty much.
Definitely, I remember that. So this question is, how does MSU set itself apart from other universities? Obviously, rankings are always a factor, but beyond that, what about terms of experiences, opportunities, etc.?
Yeah, rankings are a factor. That's one of the factors in me choosing between MSU and another school. MSU was ranked better, but also I think it's literally the sheer amount of opportunity you can take advantage of at MSU Law really sets it apart. We have 3 journals, and 2 of them are specialty journals. Morgan and I are both on Law Review, and that's a huge opportunity for students to even try to apply for a journal. And to have 3 of them is really excellent. Our moot court teams are phenomenal. They're nationally ranked teams, and there's so many of them, and they cover such broad topics that anything you could possibly want to do, you can do here, and that's what really sets it apart for me.
Yeah, and on top of that, there's I think 35 student organizations or more, with one big student organization kind of overseeing all of them, as well as I think 9 clinics now.
Yeah.
And there's just so many opportunities to continue to get involved nonstop. And I think that's really great. You can find something that fits your interest no matter what it is. And if you can't find something, then you can start something that fits your interest. Because chances are there's multiple other people that also have that same interest here.
And Narissa started the musical.
Yeah,
we did. I was really surprised that they didn't have one, so I started with 2 of my friends, also from Canada.
And also the other competition teams, so the negotiation and arbitration teams as well, so trial teams. So there's multiple, like I said, multiple different ways to get involved.
And the faculty here is amazing. We have people who are like #1 experts in their field. Our Indian law program, our law and religion program, all of these professors are like, oh, sorry, I have to cancel class because I'm being called to Japan to speak on this topic. Oh, no problem.
Cool, just jump on a plane.
Yeah,
have a great time.
time. Like, and then they'll like record a class for you to make up for the time, obviously. But it's just like to be able to learn from people who are so well educated and established in the field is just such a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Are any of you guys dual degree students? No, I didn't think so. But that is another thing that I would say sets MSU apart from other universities, is just the scope and breadth of what we have for dual degree programs, whether it's MBAs, which I know Martin mentioned the Broad College of Business earlier. It's phenomenal. It's one of the top 10 public business schools in the country. And so lots of our students will do that. Others will do Masters in Public Policy, Masters in Social Work, you name it. We really try to facilitate it so that you can really get that interdisciplinary aspect to the studies. So I would definitely say that's also a component.
The other thing is MSU is a Big Ten school, and just having that sort of reputation, but also just an environment of having this entire like 40,000 people rooting for the same team is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spartan Stadium is a fun place to be.
Yeah.
We got another question, which is, could you touch more on moot court? How does one join the team? Expectations?
Yeah, for sure.
What other competitions are available as well?
Martin and I both did moot court.
Yes. So you can't do moot court until your second and third year. You usually try out the spring of your first year, and it's like a 5 to 10 minute tryout.
You take an advocacy course in your second year, which kind of sets you up for it, and you just give that same argument for your tryout. And it's pretty, I'd say it's pretty easy to get on a moot court team just because we have so many of them, and that people are always willing to make room for you. And you can be in different roles. You can be a brief writer or an oral argument person, oralist, or both. You did the class, right?
Yeah, and I think the class is kind of what sets our moot court teams and program apart from other moot court programs. So after you get on a team, the fall of your second year, you take a moot court class, and there you'll learn how to, write an effective brief. You'll learn all the moot court argument styles. You'll practice a lot to figure out what style fits your method better, and it really enhances your oral advocacy skills much more than it will if you don't take that type of class. So.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't take the class because I was on the trademark moot court team, and none of the IP courses require you to take that class, so I didn't. But even so, like, the professors are super helpful. Kind of the idea with moot court is that it's all of the students, so the professors can't really read your brief and help you figure out what the answer is, which is terrifying. But once you get to the actual argument part, they run practice rounds with you and stuff like that. And just moot court as an experience is really, really great. It helps you speak to people about and to argue your case, because that's a really good skill for a lawyer to have, and to be able to answer questions on the spot that you thought were maybe obvious, but they need more clarification. To be able to clarify that is really important. Moot court, whatever school you go to, hopefully it's MSU, is a really cool thing for you to do, I would say.
Yeah, and I will, lastly add that Narissa mentioned that, we have professors here that are at the top of their fields. So once you have your arguments all set, you bring in the professors to kind of act as guest judges and ask you questions. And because they're at the top of the field, they're asking, just the toughest and the hardest questions. So in actuality, the practices that you go through here will be a little bit more difficult than the actual moot court competition.
That's true.
So that's another reason why we're pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think we have time for one more question, which I got here. So this is kind of shifting gears a little bit. How strong is the alumni mentorship at MSU, and how have you taken advantage of that?
That's a good question.
I would say it's pretty strong. It takes a little work, at least on our side, to reach out to the alumni. I know, for instance, Law Review, we have a strong alumni network where every year we have a alumni reception where we host a reception, and we bring back all past Law Review alumni to come and network and meet the new members of the Law Review. And it's just a great way to stay in contact and with individuals who have served on the journal and individuals who are currently serving.
Yeah, for me, I haven't necessarily reached out to too many alumni yet, but the one thing I found is when I'm applying to jobs or sitting in interviews, when I'm doing research on the firm or the partners before that, I find many of them went to either MSU Law or Detroit College of Law, which is still MSU became Detroit College of Law became MSU Law. And so they all have connections to MSU Law. So being able to see that and make that connection here when you're interviewing is great. I cold emailed a woman who's a lawyer in East Lansing just last week, and I have an interview set up for next week, and the connection was because she went to MSU Law and focused on criminal defense. She's clearly giving me an interview. Yeah. And so I find that those kind of connections to be really, really important when looking for jobs later too.
And I think that the network also extends beyond just MSU Law. So at the law firm where I'll be working, there were no MSU Law grads, but there is an MSU graduate that works there. And, when I told her that I'm an MSU Law student, she was super excited, invited me to her office, and she actually had some of the old football stadium chairs in her office. And she has like all these posters, so it's decked out in MSU things. And, she took me to lunch, and she was just a great, person to know at the law firm, especially when I was trying to get a job there. So.
Yeah, I've actually taken advantage of a lot of the MSU Alumni Connection. Professors will always want to put you in contact with former students. That's actually how I got the job that I'm at right now. And the Career Service Office will always want to put you in contact with alumni and things like that. It's been because they can always offer you other opportunities, and alumni are always willing to help an MSU Law student. And when we become alumni, like, it's going to be the same, just because that relationship has already been sort of established. It's a big network for sure. And like Emily said, it's also like the Detroit College of Law as well.
Yeah, and we have a very active alumni association. I say that because I'm actually the treasurer of the Alumni Association board, so I'm always really neck deep in what the alumni are doing. So there's always events going on all over the country with local chapters in different cities, including places like Chicago, DC, Colorado, LA, where we're starting to structure actual entities as well you can participate in with more events. But it's great because we have alums in all 50 states, and you really can connect with them. I know I have colleagues in at least 28 states that I graduated with, literally everywhere, all over the West Coast, Midwest, East Coast, Texas, Florida. So that alumni mentorship is really great. I participated in events when I was in practice. I'd come back to the law school, and whether it's judging competition teams or judging the advocacy arguments at the end of the semester.
I just sat in on the undergrad mock trial competition, and my co-judge went to MSU Law. So they'll come back and judge even undergrad competitions as well.
Yeah, so it's a very large network. The law school, we have 11,000 living alumni, but MSU more broadly has over 500,000. So it really is a Spartan nation in every sense of the word. So I think that's a good spot to wrap up. I know some of our panelists have to get to class and stuff. So I want to say thank you so much for participating. I'm going to pull up another slide real quick. So if you do have questions, here's our contact information. You can email our office. If you have questions for our panelists, definitely email us and we can pass them along. I don't think they'll mind sending some responses to any questions you may have had. And you can also call to set up a visit anytime you'd like. I know Emily does tours.
Yes, come for a tour with me, please. I love to give them.
And then last but not least, I just pulled up real quick our upcoming webinars for the remainder of the semester, and we will have some next semester as well. So if you're interested in any of these things, including IP or international programs, those are two coming up in addition to things about the actual application process. So with that, does anybody have any other last words?
Good luck.
Yeah, thanks guys. Have a great time flying.
All right, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you on other webinars.